We're here with Laurel Adams at the
hi.
Peacock Playhouse in Hayesville, North Carolina. Laurel,
Yes?
stage and screen,
Yes?
which do you prefer?
Oh, no question. I prefer stage.
Is this as an actor or a viewer?
Oh, good question.
Well, we can cover both.
I think it's pretty much equal for me, at least, viewing and doing. But my passion is stage and always has been. I like to use everything, not just this,
Okay.
which is all you get to use, basically, when you're doing camera work.
It's all pretty
It's
much,
all about the eyes.
yeah.
And I learned, of course, how to do that. But it took some classes in film acting technique when I got to Hollywood in order to learn the difference.
Can you take us from early Laurel to the point where you decided that you were going to start acting?
And keep it PG.
No? No, you say whatever you want.
Well, I've known that I wanted to be an actress since I was 7 years old. And I started out knowing that I had to be a triple threat. I had to be a singer, dancer, and actor. I figured that was my best way of getting jobs. So I started out as a dancer, started taking dance and elocution lessons when I was 7.
Elocution?
Yes, learned how to speak in front of a microphone so that people could hear me, but that I wasn't over projecting. And I
How
was
was
being
that?
distinct like I am right now.
Elocution is different from enunciation.
Well, yes, it covers the same territory, but you learn the difference between vowels and consonants and diphthongs and how to pronounce them and how to project them and how they really said, those kinds of things.
In the elocution class, did you lose an accent?
Well, you know, I probably started to lose that because when I listened to well, I'm from Minnesota, let's start there. And Minnesota apparently has quite a Scandinavian kind of accent in its ability to speak English. And my grandfather was from Sweden and my grandmother from Germany. And they met on the boat when they emigrated from the old world to the new one. And so that's my heritage. And there are still people that I run into when I go back to visit family and relatives. There are still people who speak with a very broad Scandinavian accent, and I never realized that when I was growing up there. But when I went to Hollywood, of course, I couldn't have an accent unless I wanted to be, you know, really funneled into a particular range of characters, and I didn't. I wanted to do as many kinds of characters as I could. So when I got to Hollywood, nobody ever said anything about an accent. And when I moved here, everybody knew I was from somewhere else, but not here. And of course, then my ear got finally used to the Southern accent. And I learned to kind of blend in and know what was going on there.
You kind of pick and choose the words you...
Well, yes. I do remember when I first moved here, I asked for a whole wheat sandwich. And the way I said whole wheat was not communicating with the server. And she said something about white. I don't know what you're talking about, just bring me that. And it turned out it was white bread, and I wanted wheat, but the distinction between wheat and white was very different. So that was my first lesson.
Who would know there's an H in there?
Exactly.
So 7 years old, you knew that you wanted to be an actor?
Yes.
A triple threat?
Yes.
So you started the elocution?
Well, I started with the dancing, and
Oh, the
we were
dancing, yeah.
taught microphone technique as part of that class. And I had ballet and baton and tap and all the usual dance instructions, and then learned to speak in front of a microphone without any fear whatsoever. And of course, as I grew up, I learned that the number one fear of almost everyone is speaking in front of a crowd. And I thought, well, that's very strange. I'm not afraid at all. But then maybe it was because I started speaking in front of a microphone when I was 7.
Do they help you get rid of the ums and the ahs and the pauses?
I think so, yes. I'm sure that I do still occasionally fill in, but I try not to.
Were your parents, were they like, hey, heck yeah, let's do this?
My mother was, everyone in my mother's family was a musician of some sort. Of course, in those days, everybody had a piano in their living room. And I learned to play the piano well enough so that I could plunk out, the melody of a tune. If I saw it on the piano stand, I could actually plunk it out. Mm-hmm. And everybody in my family either played the piano or sang, and so it was genetic as far as I was concerned.
Okay. So they were supportive.
Oh, very, very, yes.
So what, from 7 years old, start taking dancing and microphone speech and singing. How did that look growing up into your teens, late teens? What was the point where you said, hey, I'm leaving Minnesota?
Well, that's a little bit down the road. When I was in high school, of course, the first person they went to for choreography for the musicals was me.
Was this a big program at your school?
Well, I don't think there was a drama class in high school, but we always did 2 really huge productions every year, a spring and a fall production. And they were almost always musicals. So I was the choreographer and a dancer, and eventually spoke a few lines here and there, but that was how I got my start, certainly, was in musicals.
So at a young age, mm-hmm. you were choreographing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So did that assist you in becoming comfortable with directing people?
Well, I was never a director.
Well, I'm saying as far as choreographing, just this is what you need to do and you need to do.
I guess so. I guess that was true. I tried to be clear about what I was asking them to do and showed them very specifically and counted it out like any choreographer would do. But of course, when you're working with schools or teenagers or community theater, it's a very different talent pool than if you go to New York or Chicago or LA, because they're professionals, and all you have to do is say, do a tour jeté and then a grand jeté and a blah, 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 and they know exactly what you're talking about, and they do it.
Yeah, you lost me.
Don't worry about it, really.
So after those school or community productions, the musicals, what was the next step?
Well, then I went to college, and of course was a dancer there and took jazz classes and all kinds of things that I hadn't had in my growing up years, my elementary school and so forth, and did modern dance, and that was a whole different thing. And at first, going into modern dance, I was just scandalized because, what, you do this with your ankle? That's not right. You have to point your foot. You have to make an arch. And so it was quite a change of training perspective. But I did it, and I was very glad that I did.
So in modern dance, you're kind of breaking the rules of some classical?
Of ballet, yes.
Of ballet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where did you go to college?
Well, all over the country.
Okay.
All over. I started out at St. Cloud State and then went to the University of Alabama in Huntsville, and then to University of Nevada in Las Vegas, University of Utah in Salt Lake City, University of Minnesota in Minneapolis. We got around.
What would take you to so many different places?
I love traveling, and that was what I enjoyed doing, and relationships that did or didn't work out.
Okay. Growing up, was there something that did those three things, the triple threat, do you feel like they came easily to you, or were there some that were more challenging than the others?
I think they were all about the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I took to acting very easily.
Is it innate in character? Are there inherently better actors based on their life experience? Or is it an art that can be practiced?
Well, both of those things are true, I think. Some people have wonderful instincts, and I have grown to recognize those people who have the instinct. They may have absolutely no training whatsoever, but I can see it in their eyes that they understand, and they're already absorbing the feelings and the motivation and all of the things that are necessary in order to transfer yourself into another character.
So I was in a production here. You were not the director, but you were, what would your title have been for Dracula? Producer.
Mm-hmm.
And I, of course, went to you for advice. And one of the moments that I remember was you telling me to just open up. To unzip is what you said.
Exactly. I think that's probably the biggest challenge, and it kind of separates you from someone else by how willing you are to unzip and let all of your feelings out. Some people are very, very, well, introverted to the point where they will never, ever let anybody know who they really are. Well, those people will not be actors, because you have to be totally unafraid to show who you are, what's inside, and to take advantage of what's inside and build a character. I love acting because I get a chance to step outside my comfort zone. I get a chance to be somebody else that I've never been. But you learn to do a lot of research so that you understand, like method actors actually live the life of the character they're doing. For example, if someone is going to be portraying a homeless person, they will go into the homeless section of their community and actually live on the streets so that they know what it feels like. And they build a whole life there that you would never know about.
And this is method acting?
Yes.
I know some actors that claim to use that method. It isn't the only method.
Oh, no.
Or not the only
no.
method, I guess you would say. There are other approaches.
Very, very much so. But method acting is probably the one that changed acting, modern acting, for all time, because way back, it was just a matter of how well did you say the line. You know, you could pick a line and emphasize different words in it. I like you. I like you. I like you.
Right.
And you can see how you could change the meaning of the line by just certain inflections. But then Strasberg and Stanislavski first, came along, and he created that whole different perspective on what it's like to actually be, not phone it in, not portray it, not paint it, but actually become that character. And that changed acting for all time.
So I have this feeling that if I go home today and I watch Casablanca, with Humphrey Bogart.
Right.
But then I watch a modern film. I feel like the acting is different. Would you agree or disagree?
I think it might be different, yes.
Delivery, atmosphere, I'm not sure.
Yeah, those things are true. The pace was slower, like they were waiting for people to digest what they were saying. And of course, camera technique was very different. And that they weren't that far removed from the 30s and silent film technique.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about the early days of silent films, they took Broadway actors, stage actors. And of course, everything was so overblown because that was stage technique. But if a woman was about to cry, you know, because that's what they did on stage in those days,
Yeah.
to portray a particular emotion. But the camera's right here. And so they begin to see it's too much. It's phony. It's not believable. And that's when they started refining acting technique. So a lot of the people who were in the films of the 40s were still dealing with their original acting techniques learned in silent films.
I'd say that would be a big change to go from stage to screen in
It
the
is.
early days.
Yeah, well, it's still a big change.
Some actors still perform on stage and screen as well.
Yes.
Getting back to your early life, when did you stop going to school and say, I'm going to chase a dream out west?
Well, let's see. I was at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City, and I had been there to set up the stage movement for actors program. They'd never had one, and so I set up the BFA and the MFA program. And I happened to be there. I'd given my notice because I knew I wanted to become an actor, and what I wanted to do when I went to the University of University of Utah at Salt Lake City.
What were you giving a notice to?
I was giving a notice to my boss that I was quitting teaching.
So you weren't attending school?
No, I was teaching.
You were teaching?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I wanted to pay off all my debts because I had paid attention to all of the little news articles and things, you know, that you can't expect to be wealthy immediately when you hit Hollywood. You've got to sort of earn it. And so I wanted to make sure that I was debt-free when I eventually moved there. So I went to the University of Utah in Salt Lake City to teach for 2 years to pay off all of my college debts. And while I was there, I gave my notice. At the end of my first year, I gave my notice that I would be there for 1 more year, which I did. And then at the very end, one of the faculty members said, "Would you please sit on book for us because we've lost a stage manager and we need someone to read lines with the cast?" So I said, "Okay, I will do that." And so I did Oklahoma again there. And then the next show came along. They started rehearsing the next show, and this was during the summertime, so they did show after show after show. And the same director came to me and said, "Gosh, I'm sorry, we just lost the jester in Once Upon a Mattress, and I know you do a lot of gymnastics and you can make that a funny role. Could you do the jester?" Yes, okay. So by that time, I had given up my apartment, so I had nowhere to stay. And the music director, who was a guy, was bunking with 5 other guys, and he said, "We have room in my house if you want to stay there for the rest of the show." And I said, "Yeah, I need somewhere to live." So I went over to their house, and it was a renovated closet. It was probably, I don't know, 4 feet wide and 10 feet long,
Okay.
and no windows. I mean, it was black inside. So I moved into the closet and had a cot and just loved it. And the guys were all very, very friendly, and nobody did anything untoward. And so I stayed there and did the Jester. And then I think it was 2 or 3 days before the final performance, I said, okay, now please don't ask me to do the next show, because I'm supposed to do dinner theater in Chicago, and I've got to get there. Well, 2 days before then, one of my roommates, one of those guys, came up to me and he said, I know you're a good actress, so I heard that there's a movie company coming through town, and I would like to get it, I'd like to be hired by the movie company, but I don't know anything about acting. Oh. All right, so he said, could you at least run these lines with me as I drive to the motel where it's going on? And it's a motel.
Uh-oh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, you said oh too, and I knew, oh, this is not a good sign. I said, a motel? Do you know what company this is? No, I don't know. I just heard about it. Okay, fine. So we went to the motel, and he went in and read his lines apparently and came back out. And the director walked him back out to the truck we were in, and he said, why aren't you reading? And I said, well, because I'm going to Chicago to do dinner theater. He said, oh, you're an actress then? I said, yeah. And he said, well, come on inside, into the motel. So I went in, and it was, there were 2 beds there, and there were a lot of guys standing around and, listening and doing that sort of thing. And he said, would you read this script? I said, I haven't even looked at it. He said, it doesn't matter, just read the script. So I read the script. And he said, okay, fine, thank you very much for doing that. He walked me back to the truck. And he said, so how do you feel about not wearing makeup? And I said, I don't have to look at me while I don't have makeup on. You do. And he just laughed, and I got in the car and drove back to the house. And about 2 or 3 days later, I mean, I had packed up all my clothing. I had nothing left but a couple of leotards and a pair of tights and, maybe a pair of jeans. So that was all I had left. And one of my roommates said, hey, there's a phone call here for you. So I picked up the phone, and the first thing out of this woman's mouth was, what are your measurements? Oh, man, in Salt Lake City, we get obscene phone calls? And I said, none of your business. And I was, don't hang up. This is the movie company that you auditioned for, and I need your measurements because I'm the costumer. Oh, okay. So I did that, and I said, well, I don't understand this at all. She said, you mean nobody has called you? I said, no, I have no. I'm ready to go to Chicago. And oh, no, you've got to be in Evanston, Wyoming tomorrow, or Cody, Wyoming tomorrow. Tomorrow? Are you out of your mind? Hang up the phone, do not move. And 5 seconds later, the phone rang, and it was the assistant director, and he said, my apologies, I have no idea how this mistake happened, but yes, you are due tomorrow in Cokeville, Wyoming, and we need you here on the set. Okay. So I made arrangements to take a bus to Wyoming and got there in time, and was greeted by this director who wanted to know about my makeup. And he said, my apologies. So we spent 3 weeks on location doing this Western film, and then I understood why he didn't want makeup. And when we finished the film, he said, now, are you still wanting to go to Chicago? And I said, well, I don't know. I just want to continue. And he said, if you come to Los Angeles, I guarantee you 10 interviews with producers. Would you like to go there? Oh yeah, I think I will, yes. So I did, and that's how I got started in LA.
How old was this Laurel pre-Chicago dinner theater when you got that role?
How old?
Yeah, how old were you then?
You mean age-wise, really?
Yeah.
Nobody ever asks an actor how old they are.
I'm just trying
It's
to get
how old you look.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what's important.
How old did you look?
I probably looked 25.
25.
Actually, probably less than that, because I did go for an audition and the director said, "Oh, you're way too young." And I said, "No, I'm not. I'll show you my driver's license." And he was the one who said, "Never, ever tell anyone how old you are,
Really?
because you don't look it."
So that's just one of those unspoken rules.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
As a person, does Laurel like those situations where you don't know what's happening, you're just kind of going with the flow and it sounds like a good time, so I'm going to go to Wyoming and
Yeah.
film?
Yeah.
And then it's like, forget about Chicago, I'm going to LA?
Uh-huh. Exactly. I loved it. I loved the adventure. I really did. I still do. Yeah, I still do.
So after Wyoming, what was the name of this Western?
Let me see. The first one I did was Seven Alone.
Seven Alone. Okay, so that's the first Western? There's more than one?
Yes, and then I did Pony Express Rider after that. And
Okay.
that was some years later.
Who were the other names in Seven Alone that
Aldo Ray, you probably don't even know that name.
I don't know?
Oh,
but
Aldo Ray,
that's
Pat
on
and
me.
Mike, Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn.
Okay.
Okay, and
Yeah.
he played the boxer, the fighter who, I mean, we're talking about 40s
That's fine.
films. But Aldo Ray was doing spaghetti westerns, that's what they were called in those days. And he was the star. And my husband, let me see, my husband in Seven Alone was James Griffith. And James was Jim Griffith was sort of a bad guy, a villain in a lot of different, he was very well known. So he was quite a name then. Yeah.
Kind of a typecast as a villain?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. And he played my husband, which was kind of a breakthrough for him because that's not the kind of role that he normally played. And Dewey Martin was the romantic lead. And again, those are all names that you probably don't even know.
I don't, but I mean, it would be a film that I'd like to check out.
Well, it was fun. It exposed me to a lot of different things that I knew nothing about. Like, since it was a Western, we had a lot of horses and covered wagons. And I had no idea how to hitch up a horse to a covered wagon, but I learned. And I remember we had a wrangler, a couple of wranglers actually, to help all the horses and cattle that were part of the road trip, because this was a trail that led to Oregon. And I was part of that journey to get on the Oregon Trail to head west. And I remember coming out of my tent. We were in tents on location, and there was this horse who was kind of standing uphill, and I could see by his head that he had gone to sleep. And he went to sleep, and because he was on an upgrade, he fell over. And I mean, you should have seen his face and the wrangler came running out, didn't want to break the horse's neck or anything. So, but that was funny.
How was life on set in a film like that?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was very interesting. And it was interesting meeting all these people who had far more experience in film than I did. And just meeting them all, it was fun. And one of the stunt guys, whoa, was he a rider? Oh my gosh. He would pull back on the reins and the horse would go up into one of those stand-up things, and it was, oh yeah, it was just wonderful. And then I could see them as they ran the stunts where they would fall off the horse or the horse would trip and they'd slide, and it was quite an amazing adventure just learning all of that.
When you're on set in a film like that, are you able to appreciate it? Just the magic or the glamour of making a film, or are you in a mode of, I'm here to work?
Well, I'm always there to learn as much as I can learn. And I like sitting on the sidelines watching other people do what they do. And then, of course, at the end of the day, you watch the dailies. And
I don't know what that is.
Oh, the dailies are the film that they took during the daytime.
Okay.
It doesn't have any sound integrated into it, but you can see what you did. And based on the dailies, the director decides whether he needs to reshoot certain scenes or not. And that way the actors, cast members, crew members get a chance to see what it was that they did and how it came off, because everybody's looking for different things. I mean, the tech people are looking, is the lighting fine, is the sun in the right direction, are the clouds, you know, they're looking for different things. And I can remember one daily where the jet plane went over. What? In 1822, there's a jet plane? I don't think so. Yeah, we have to film that one over again. So it was an interesting experience all the way around. I really enjoyed it.
Do you have to be a bit of a narcissist to be an actor?
You know, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, there are certainly people who are driven by their egos and the applause and the success and all of that. But that's not why I do it. Not at all.
Perfect time. Why do you? What is the moment where you're like, yes, this is why I do this?
Well, for example, I'll read a script first, and then in Hollywood you already know what character you're supposed to be doing. But I read the script, I look at the character, and immediately I jump into that character's skin. What are they feeling right now? Why are they there? What do they want? What is their goal? What is their objective? And I just get fired up just thinking about those questions. And can I give the answer that is best? What do I mean by best answer? Well, if I think that I'm entering the room because I want to see the person sitting in the chair, no. I want to come into the room because I want to surprise him. Yes, you know, and then I try it and see if it works.
Okay.
But I try out different ideas in my head because I'm already invested in that character and I already know what they feel like and how they walk and how they move and how they talk.
So I feel like as an actor you can replace certain attributes and the variables would be immense as far as your motivation.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Or how you react to another actor or character.
Absolutely.
I'm going to call it an escape to go into another character. Is the escape, is that addictive?
Well, my idea of addiction is you cannot say yes or no. You have to.
Okay.
So, addiction, no.
Addiction, no.
No. Joy, adventure, excitement, yeah.
So after 7 Alone, Pony Express
Rider.
How many, I'm going to call them feature films, I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, feature films.
How many have you been in?
Oh gosh. Just off the top of my head, because I haven't looked at that Hollywood resume in a long, long time.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe 15.
Okay.
And I did a lot of television, because that's really where most people make their money, is off television episodes or being in a series or a co-star or a lead in a series.
Why is the television more financially viable? Shorter More condensed?
Well,
Recurring?
that's true, but there's more opportunities.
Because there's more shows or
Uh-huh.
more characters?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that the budget's slower.
Well, I really don't know about the budget, because when you hear about the current film stars doing a film for $20 million, that's their salary. Yeah, yeah, I can understand why somebody would want to do a film, but it's not for the money.
Mm-hmm.
All I want to do is to pay my rent, pay the grocery bills, have a little put aside just in case. It's never been about money, just enough so that I hated going on unemployment. Everybody out there was on unemployment and enjoyed it. I hated being on unemployment. That just didn't feel right. So like I said, it was never about the money. I know that the agents and managers who made their living off you certainly wanted to negotiate the best price for you. And I understood that, because they got 10% or 15%, depending upon whether they were a manager or a personal manager or an agent,
So if you finish a feature film and you don't have anything lined up right behind that, say you'll sign up for unemployment.
I tried not to.
Right.
I tried to live off
But
my
that
savings.
was a common thing. What are you doing in that time? Are you talking to your agent or manager, trying to find a new role? Do they do all the searching?
They
Did
do
you
the
do any
searching.
searching?
They do the searching.
They know the names, they know the people.
That's right.
Is there a difference between an agent and a manager?
Yes. An agent, now again, we're talking about in those days, and I've been here for 26 years or so, maybe even more, so I've been out of the business that long. And in those days, the agent would get calls, on paper. They would get calls from all of the different TV episodic people, all of the films that were looking for people. They would get, every agent in town would get a listing of who needed what on that particular day. And they would look at the description of the characters, and then they would look at their 250 actors that they represented and see which one was right for that role. And then they might send 10 of their best actors to that company, let's say MGM, and they would send those 10 headshots with resumes to the casting person. Then the casting person would look at the resume and look at the headshot, because they know what the director was actually looking for. So they would call the agent back and said, okay, send over X, Y, and Z. And then the agent called X, Y, and Z, and we were expected to get over to MGM in the next 45 minutes. Okay, here I go. So, whoa, I mean, it was, you never...
Fast-paced lifestyle?
Yes, very fast-paced.
How did you find your agent? Did you have many agents over your career?
I had, yes, a number of agents, and you're always trying to upgrade, to go the next step up the ladder.
What's it like to fire an agent?
Well, I don't think I ever looked at it as firing. I just said, it's time for me to move on.
Yeah.
And sometimes the agent said, yes, definitely you need to move on. Because some of my agents would get 2 or 3 of me, looked like me, his same hair color, same eyes, same everything. And maybe they were younger, or maybe they were more, had more on their resume, or what. There were always excuses, for doing that. But I always enjoyed looking. And I got my very first agent because the man who played my husband in that very first film said, okay, the director just told me that you're going to LA, and that he's going to guarantee that he's lined up 10 producers for you. He said, I can put you in touch with my agent. So I when I got to town eventually, I got to Los Angeles and moved in with an old friend who was just coincidentally had moved there, and so I became her roommate. And I called my husband in the film and said, okay, I'm here. And he said, well, that's good because my agent really would like to meet you. So I went over that same day to meet the agent. And the agent said, well, you know, I like everything about you. And Jim said you are really wonderful to work with and easy and no ego issues and all of those kinds of things. So what do you think? And I said, well, how about if we think it over? And he said, that's a good idea. We'll think about it, and you call me tomorrow morning if you're still interested. So I called him the next morning. I said, yeah, let's give it a shot. And he's, oh, thank goodness, because I have an audition for you with Little House on the Prairie.
Oh, really?
Whoa! And I thought, whoa, that is just wonderful. So I went over to Little House on the Prairie. Did not get that job, but Michael Landon, who I read for, remembered me, and although I wasn't right for that role in his mind, he did call me back about 6 months or so, and I did get the next Little House on the Prairie job.
Okay, so a different character.
Different character.
Same show. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm just
If you
babbling
didn't-
on and on and
No,
on.
no,
so
it's
stop
fine.
me if
It's fine.
Okay.
You're igniting all these questions in my mind. I'm trying to remember them as I go on. If you didn't have an agent for Seven Below,
Seven Alone.
Seven Alone.
That's all right. Seven Below is pretty cold.
Pretty cold.
Kind of Minnesota.
I'm sure Wyoming's been Seven Below.
Uh-huh.
How did you work out payment? How does that?
Well, for Seven Alone, since I was not a union member.
Okay.
And
Yeah, that's definitely that's probably a whole nother conversation. Union.
It is
and SAG
definitely. Right.
Yeah.
SAG and AFTRA and Equity. But I wasn't a union member then, and so there certain rules did not apply, and other rules did apply. So there wasn't a problem with paying an agent because I didn't have one.
Okay.
And so then once I engaged the agent, then I definitely had to get on board with the 10% agent fee. But because I had done a union film, even though I was non-union, but lots of people fill in, do minor parts in union films. But because I had done the film and it was a fairly major part, I was granted union membership.
Oh, really? Based on that alone?
Yep. So then I had, now I was a union member, and now I had a legitimate agent, and so I was off and running.
So the union, do they set you up, say, hey, here's a list of agents, or do they
Well,
assist in that?
they can. Yes, if you are a union member, there are lists of all kinds of agents, and all different, whether they represent print work or commercials or television or film or whatever, voice work.
So you said that you'd received good word from your on-screen husband.
Mm-hmm.
He'd been saying that you were a pleasure to work with on set. What is an actor, what can they do to be easy to work with their other cast members, with the production? What would you recommend?
Well, I just think you need to listen, and I think you need to shut up when it's time to shut up, and be respectful of the work that it takes to do it, whether it's behind the camera or in front of the camera, or up there in all of the grids, as a crew member. I have great respect for everyone that I work with until they prove that they are disrespectful.
You see it on the TV and the tabloids, egos
Yes.
in Hollywood.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Is it true in person?
Yes, there are definitely egos. There's no question about that. And that's a sad part.
What leads to that ego? Just
Well, it's different for everybody, I'm sure. And with some people, it's that they have been so successful and worth big bucks that they assume that whatever they say is the law. And sometimes they don't know what they're talking about, but you have to do it because they said so.
Okay.
And other times it's just because they're full of themselves.
Yeah. What is the competition fierce when you were in Hollywood?
Oh, yes. Oh, very much. Oh, yes.
Is it one makes it out of 5 or one makes it out
Oh,
of 10?
keep going, keep
Yeah.
going, keep going. I'll give you a good example. My equity agent called me up and said,
I don't know what an equity agent
equity
is.
is stage.
Okay.
So that's the Actors Equity Union.
Okay.
That's for stage actors.
Stage actors.
Yes, and AFTRA and SAG are for film. And my equity agent called me and said they're doing a play called Tribute down at the Lawrence Welk Dinner Theater. And that was a prestigious dinner theater. And I said, okay, that's great, because I love going back to stage. And he said, Jack Klugman is the lead. Okay, all right. So I read the script and I thought, this is a peculiar role for me. It was a madam.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I
I'm
don't
gonna
have
take a madam as escort.
escort. Yes, yes, that's a very nice way of putting it.
Okay.
So anyway, I was astounded that they would consider me for that role. And so I'm trying to think, oh, okay, what, well, all right. But that character actually played 2 different roles. She had, in a former life, she had been a madam, but in the current setting of the script, she was a real estate agent.
So that was a past life.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But what had happened was that the character that Jack Klugman plays knew Hillary, the madam.
Okay.
And that character needed a nurse because he had fallen into a bad health situation and he needed a nurse. And so my character was formerly a madam and now a real estate agent, but she was supposed to be a nurse in this particular setting, at any rate. So I dressed up as a nurse, and I put on glasses and kind of had fluffy eyebrows, and I wanted to make her as hideous as possible, and totally different from me. So I went in and I read for Jack Klugman, and I read the role, and when I finished, because I knew of his character and my character's past relationship, I felt that it was perfectly okay to swat him on the butt.
Okay.
So at the very last thing I did as the character of this nurse was I said, "See ya," whap, and walked away. And Jack Klugman eyes grew and his jaw literally dropped, and then he just howled. And I thought, oh no, I really screwed things up, didn't I? Oh man. And so I walked away and thanked him, and he thanked me. And my agent called and he said, I don't know what you did, but you got the role. There were 270 girls trying for that same role.
Wow. One role in a whole production on stage.
Yep.
270.
Yep. And that is not unusual. In film, they try to cull it down. But, occasionally I would walk into a casting room and there would be 10 or 20 women who looked exactly like me. The same height, same weight, same hair color, everything.
So does a stage production, does it have the same members as a film production? Casting, production, directing?
Well, there are fewer
for
technical
stage?
people for
Yeah.
stage, yes.
Right. There's no necessarily lighting. It's already there in the theater.
Well, you have a lighting control person, just like we have here.
Yeah.
And that lighting control person and his assistants usually set up all the lights and gel the lights and, you know, all of the different technical aspects. But in a set, on a film set, there might be 150 guys up there,
Yeah.
all doing what they do.
Did you mix in stage while you were doing screen as well?
Mm-hmm.
It's a healthy mix, but you always tend towards stage on a personal preference.
Personal preference, yes.
What draws you to stage? Just the ability to be more open? I feel like maybe you said before, but
Well, of course, that's what I grew up in, so I
Okay.
was most comfortable with it. I like using all of me.
yeah.
And you know, I just gestured. I like using this, everything, and that's very different from film work. And I did those films and didn't know what I was doing. And as I look at those films now, I said, "Yeah, you didn't know what you were doing." Okay, but that's all right. You know?
Are you saying based on the performance?
Yeah, it was over the top for film standard. But I auditioned for something else fairly soon after I moved to Hollywood, and the casting director made a comment that I am forever grateful for, and she said, "I can see you acting." And I said, I don't know what you mean. She said, "I see you acting. When you and I are talking, you're not acting, you're film acting." And I thought, wow, you mean I'm just supposed to think and react? She said, yeah. I said, but I'm doing nothing. And she said, that's the point. Film actors do nothing by comparison to stage. So that's when I enrolled in a couple of film classes, and what a difference. What a difference.
What makes the difference between a successful actor, stage or screen, from someone that is struggling? I know that it would be different from person to person, but if you could say, "Hey, I'm gonna tell you 3 things. Please don't forget them. This is what you need to do."
Well, that's a almost impossible question. I mean, the difference that I see between someone who is riveting on stage, for example, as opposed to just walking through it, is the believability. As an audience member, I look at that person and I'm totally caught up in what they're doing. I don't look at them as an actor. They're a human being living a life that I absolutely believe. And if somebody is just spouting lines, and they may be doing them perfectly, but they're just lines. There's no heart and soul and gut. There's nothing going on. It's just lines.
And it doesn't even matter the material.
No.
Just picking up a telephone
Yes.
can be.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. How you pick up that phone, because it's what's on the other end of that phone. Are you picking up the phone because it's bad news? Maybe about your mother who is dying? Or maybe it's that guy that you met at the club the other night?
See, I believe.
Exactly. But it's inside. It's
Yeah.
inside. What is? And as soon as you said phone, I looked there and I saw the telephone.
So you just. I don't know that it would be right to say that you just have to give up something in yourself. You just have to unlock something.
Yes. You remember the unzip?
Mm-hmm.
Permission. Give yourself permission to just be.
Your career in Hollywood, how many years did it span?
I spent 26 years there.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a long time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When was the last time that you acted?
Oh gosh. Well, it was just before the Northridge earthquake because that was what made me move here.
Okay. Northridge earthquake, okay.
Oh yes.
Where was
Oh my
the
gosh.
epicenter of that?
The epicenter was in Northridge, and that was about I was 9 miles away from the epicenter.
Okay.
I was living in North Hollywood at the time.
So Northridge is an area close to
Yes,
LA.
yes. Very. The suburbs.
It is LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a part. Like Sherman Oaks and Beverly Hills and
Right.
all the rest of them. Yeah.
So this earthquake
Oh my gosh.
did something to you as far as mentally, I don't want to be here anymore?
Well, it wasn't that I don't want to be here. It felt like a message. It felt like a message. And it was not just a rumble. It was not just the lights going out. It was devastation. And I mean, buildings crumbled. I was on the second floor of the two-floor U-shaped complex, and there was a swimming pool in the middle of the complex. And the quake happened about 4:31 in the morning, and oh my gosh, it was just awful. But when the daylight finally broke and I was able to crawl across all the broken things in my apartment and get to the front door because I could hear people screaming and crying, and walked out. And fortunately, the stairwell to the second floor was still intact, but there was no water in the swimming pool, and there was a huge crack in it. And all the water in that swimming pool had gone into the first floor apartments. They were all ruined. And it took a couple of days before we could even get out of our apartments. We couldn't even get down. There was so much rubble everywhere. And I finally got out onto the street, and the building across from me, the whole front of it was gone. You could look right into everybody's apartments. You could see their sofas, and then about 3 doors down, the entire building had crumbled onto the underground garage. And I just thought, I wonder who was in the underground garage and is dead because the whole building crumbled on top of it. And that was everywhere I looked. It was that kind of devastation. It was just, I'd never been, I mean, every day it seemed like there was a rumble, there was a little trembler, there was a little, you felt it. And you learned to live with it. That's just another one. But not that big. And my agent's, the business building was totally ruined, so she no longer had a place to do business. And everything was shut down, all the major studios were shut down, nobody was doing anything. And I just said, I think it's time. So what I did was I moved in with my then boyfriend and got a job teaching school. And I taught film there. They'd never had a film program. And so I set that up and taught for a little bit of time. And then my sister and her husband built a house here from the ground up, and they were so proud of it. And I thought, okay, I think it's time for me to check that out. So I did, and I loved it because it's very much like Minnesota.
Okay, yeah.
Lots of forests and rivers and lakes and streams and mountains. And I said, I think this is where I'd like to be. So I bought a house here, went back to LA to teach, and got more and more lonely for this. So I just packed up and moved here.
What year was that you came here?
Well, let's see, it would have been, I think, 97. And the reason I actually moved was because Gary Stepp, who was then the superintendent of schools in Murphy, called me up and asked me if I would like to set up a drama program at the Murphy High School. They had never had one, and they would like one. So I flew out here and had the interview. Another funny story. they said, okay, we don't have a theater. What would you do? And I said, well, I'd look around and find an empty building, maybe an empty warehouse, and I would convert it. Oh, never thought of that.
Yeah.
I said, oh yeah, that would make sense. Okay, all right, good. And on that note, we pretty much shook hands, and I flew back to LA. Well, and that was a couple months later, I got this phone call, and this woman said, this is Dr. Hedrick, and we were just wondering when you were planning on coming. And I said, wait a minute, coming where? Murphy, North Carolina, where you interviewed for the school? I said, well, I never got a contract. I thought you had just moved on. And we shook hands.
Oh.
And I thought, you mean that's as good as your word, just a handshake. That's where I want to be, where people value their word. And here I am.
Here you are.
Yeah.
I actually had you in high school.
Yeah.
Were there different levels of the class?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there
I
were
knew
4
had to
levels.
be. I was introduction.
Yes.
I didn't make it past that.
Well, some people sampled it just to see what it was like because their friends said it was fun or whatever.
I think you tried to get me to do an Irish accent one time.
Oh,
It went
and
badly.
you couldn't do it, could you? All right. Well, that's
No,
the way it goes sometimes, you know.
When you got to Murphy, when did you discover the Peacock Playhouse?
Well, actually, I discovered the Peacock before I ever moved here.
Oh, okay.
My sister.
What? Sorry.
Go ahead.
How long has this place been here?
Since the mid 80s, I think somewhere around 85 or 86, Lilith Lidsine was the philanthropist who built the building, paid for it, and
I see on some of the
donated.
programs that you have framed on the wall, it will say Lidsine
Lilith Lidsine,
Performing
Arts
Yeah.
Association. Yeah.
When was that change from Lidsine to Peacock?
Well, it's always been Peacock.
Oh, okay.
It's Lilith Lidsine Performing Arts Association. That's the LLC
I see.
name, that's all.
So mid 80s, been here mid 80s. Like we see it now, rather unchanged?
Well, not quite. It's pretty much the same. Of course, we painted and added the seats because when Lilith actually built the building, it wasn't quite finished. There weren't any seats. I think the seats had been ordered. I really don't know, but there were no seats in here, and I think the restrooms were not finished. But basically, the building was ready to be inhabited. But she passed away before she ever saw it open.
Oh. Was she a fan of theater?
She was a fan of the arts, everything. Okay. And in her, I don't know whether you'd call it a journal or a diary or her recommendation, she wanted this building. And if you were to go upstairs, you would see that there's a balcony there, and there is a place for a stovepipe to go through the building, because there was supposed to be a fireplace, a little pit kind of thing in the lobby, and then it would be connected into the upstairs, the dance studio. And she made a dance studio and rehearsal hall, and then the costume shop was originally supposed to have been for voice lessons and piano lessons and private lessons. And her vision was that there would be something for everyone offered here.
Okay, so I associate it with stage theater, but
yes.
I know that you also do dance lessons here.
Yes, yes.
And you host concerts.
Oh, a lot of them, yes.
A lot of concerts. Not just concerts, they do some spoken words, not the right.
Yes, well, Scribes on Stage was a series
Scribes
that
on
we
Stage.
created a couple of years back, and that was for local poets and storytellers and playwrights, because we wanted to encourage people in this area who had the inclination to write. We wanted to give them somewhere to show off their work. And the idea behind Scribes on Stage was for them to present their work. For example, if it was a one-act play, recruit the actors, direct it, give it a couple of rehearsals, and then sit them on chairs and face the audience and recite the script.
Okay.
And then get feedback from the audience, and that way a local playwright could improve their writing. And hopefully one day that play would become something that we'd produce on stage.
I see. I see. Has that come about yet?
Well, we have done a lot of poetry and
Okay.
storytelling, a lot of those particular aspects of local talents do it every year. We have trouble with the playwriting because it takes a lot of effort to write a play. It isn't something you just come up with. So it takes a little bit of time, and we never could find local playwrights who had enough time, apparently, to write plays so that we could count on there being a new play every year. So,
Stage production is a lot of work, from what I have
yes,
seen.
yes, it is.
It requires a lot,
Yes.
not just of the actors, but of the production cast, directors, stage managers,
Yes.
backstage,
Yes.
set design,
Uh-huh.
everything.
Yes, everything.
It's one of those things to me that you don't know how much goes into it until you try to do it.
That's very true. That is so true. And I know that from first-time actors, they might have been sitting out in the audience for something else, and they say, I'm going to give that a try. It looks like something fun. And yeah, eventually it turns out to be fun, but the work involved is kind of overwhelming.
So is it generally 4 plays a year
Yes,
here?
yes. Well, it's 3 plays and a musical.
3 plays and a musical. So, okay. And then mixed in with that is quite a few concerts. How often are you doing Scribes on stage?
I think Scribes is 3 times a year now because we did eliminate the playwright.
Okay.
So I think we have 3 of those. And then we have our Songwriter Showcase series.
Yes, that's right.
And it started out, I think, with 2, then we bumped it up to 3, and it's now up to 6.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it must be pretty popular.
Yes.
How does a theater like this, how does it make its money? Is it ticket sales?
Well, in my pre-show announcement to every show that I do that, I always tell the audience that we could not survive on ticket sales alone. We rely on donors and sponsors and the local merchants, you know, who put ads in our playbills, and the concert programs, and people who win the raffle, for example, and turn it back in. Those are wonderful, generous people, and that's how we survive. And of course, grants. We do apply for grants.
Grants, okay. Do you have to structure this business a certain way? I ask that because I feel like you have said before that in your intro you're a
501c3.
I'll take that, yeah.
Nonprofit organization.
Nonprofit organization. So you're able to apply for grants that
Yes.
are directed towards
For
art
nonprofits.
centers.
Yes, we have a grant writer, and she scopes out whatever is available and finds out whether we're eligible or not.
Do you feel like community appreciates the theater?
I think so. I do. And
This is to me, is a really nice place
it's
to
the
have
only
set
one like it. Yeah.
in the middle of
Yeah.
Appalachia.
Yeah. I mean, you can go to Franklin, and that's a wonderful theater there. And you can go to Blue Ridge, and that's another theater, but it's not like this one. This one has a fly loft and curtains that drop, and some theaters don't. They're just a box, you know, they're just a
In
stage.
brief, what is a fly loft?
That is where all the curtains fly up.
Okay.
You know, they're out of the way, out of the sight
And there's
line.
not just one curtain.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
there's not. I don't know how many we have, maybe 6 curtains.
Wow.
We have our grand drape and our cyc and our scrim and the projection screen and a black drape and a blue drape and backdrop.
I'm not counting. Sorry.
Oh, shoot, you were supposed to. Anyway.
But you have the pit as well.
Yes, the orchestra pit.
That's what I think the word is, right? The pit. And this is set up for the musicals.
Yes, or if we ever had a full orchestra, we would lift the lid off the entire pit because it's big enough for an orchestra.
Okay, okay. So the recent musical that you did here, Kiss Me Kate, just the center of the...
Just the center tube.
Just the center was open. And how many instruments were down in the
Oh
pit?
gosh, I think there were 5 musicians plus 2 keyboards and the music director.
Yeah. And most of this talent, production cast, local people from the surrounding towns.
Yes.
How do you do a Kiss Me Kate, or how do you do a Dracula? Do you buy the script online and say, hey, we're going to do this?
Ah, that's a good question. What I do is I spend a lot of time scoping out reviews online, what Broadway is doing, what off Broadway is doing, and what other.
Broadway.
Well, Broadway is a particular geographic area.
Yeah.
Off Broadway are theaters that are not on Broadway, but still in New York.
New York.
And then off, those are the regional area theaters that are not in New York on Broadway.
Okay.
So we just call those off Broadway.
Off Broadway.
But they're really well-known houses, theaters.
What
And-
other tangent? New York is known for theater, Broadway. What would be the next city that?
For theater?
Yeah.
That's interesting question.
Chicago has
Probably
theater.
Chicago.
All right, I
Yeah.
interrupted you too
Yeah,
much.
probably Chicago.
So you want to do a production. So
Oh,
you
yes.
start looking at these,
Yes,
what
and
everyone
I
else
start
is doing.
looking at what other people are doing, and I subscribe to things like The Scene or Theater Mania, publications that make it their business to look at different productions that are happening around the country or around the world even. And I read the reviews and see what kind of talent is required, what kind of characters are required, how many men, how many women. Is the material in the script something that I think our demographic would enjoy? And that's something that every theater has to consider. And once I make the decision, yes or no, on the script, then I buy it. I send for it, and it's shipped to me, and I read it. So I've got bookcase after bookcase of all these scripts that I decided I wouldn't do.
Okay.
But at any rate, if I do decide that I like this script, it appeals to me, I think we could do it. Not too many set changes. The talent is, or the characters are right within our age range. Because we have a very specific demographic here.
What would you say that is?
Well, our audience is probably between 45 and 70. And those are the people who generally come to see the show. So I know that older characters are more appealing. But if you want to attract a younger audience, it's got to appeal to young people as well. So now I'm looking for a script that would have something to say to a now audience, you know, not just the older generation. And that's another reason why we've got the kids camp, the summer camp that we do every year, a 2-week summer camp, because that encourages grandparents to bring their children and the kids on stage, have friends in the audience, and they bring their friends and their parents and their relatives and all of that. So that encourages a younger audience. And if we're going to grow them up to appear on the main stage, then we have to offer something that would attract them as well. So I'm always looking for roles that are doable. Like in Kiss Me Kate, our suitor was, what was he, 15?
Yeah.
One of the suitors was, yeah.
In the play that I was in, my daughters were both
Yeah, right.
10 plus years
Yeah.
older than I.
Yeah. But if you
But
do the
it's
right
fun.
makeup, and you never know that.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably a lot of the charm in stage production,
Yeah.
is that the characters can be so fluid
Yeah.
in portrayal, and even gender swapped.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. There's a role in the upcoming show that could be either gender.
Do you see that theater, does it have trends?
Oh, I think so, yes. Yeah. I do.
Yeah, I think you see that sometimes in film. They'll find something that maybe hits, and then it's, hey, we got to do that again.
Again and again and again and again and
yeah.
again, and pretty soon you're at franchise number 10.
Does the stage, is it a little bit more classier than that, do you feel?
Well, I don't think that's quite the way I would put it.
I wouldn't either.
Okay, we'll just ignore that. We'll just erase that. Occasionally, I will read where they're doing Death of a Salesman, an old classic, or they're doing On the Waterfront, or they're doing Anything Goes, and I'm thinking, okay, so they're bringing back some classics on Broadway, that's good, and with them setting the trend, let's see what I can do, okay, to kind of go along with that.
Okay. I've got 2 more for you.
2 more questions?
Yeah.
Do I have an eraser?
You probably need one.
Okay, go.
Someone's young. They're going to Hollywood. They want to go to Hollywood. They want to be in. I wrote this down. Is it actor or actress?
Oh, it doesn't really matter.
Doesn't matter?
No.
Okay.
No.
So it's not an unspoken rule like
No,
the age thing.
no. I mean,
Okay.
actress is obviously female and
Right.
actor is obviously male, but we refer to anybody who acts as an actor.
Okay, so young
So
actor.
it's fine.
Say, hey, I want to go to Hollywood. In your opinion, what would you say to them to help them? What would be your advice if someone come up to you and said, hey, what can I do to ensure my success or stay true to myself?
Well, I think first of all, they need some training. Can't just walk into Hollywood with no training. You have to have some experience. And you have to develop a thick skin. Because if you're going to be crushed by every no, you're not going to last.
They say no easily?
Very. Because they've got a lot of choices.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? They can afford to look for the perfect person.
And I would assume, and I would venture to bet, that it isn't necessarily malice. That
No, it's not at all. No, you're just a number. For example, in New York, if you're auditioning for a show, particularly a musical, you got a number on your chest.
Oh, yeah.
And you go out and you do your thing. And they say, number 462, out, 451, yeah. You're just a number.
Right.
And that is exactly what you have to develop. So that okay, if you get it, wonderful. If you don't get it, move on.
Move on.
There's another opportunity. And you cannot afford to let a no crush you. You really can't. And like I said, you have to develop a thick skin. And the irony is you have to develop a thick skin as an actor, if that's your career. But at the same time, your skin has got to be so thin because you're developing a character with lots of emotion. So it's really difficult to do both, but you have to.
Second question.
Yes.
Someone lives here. They want to get involved in theater production, stage production. I feel like there are many facets to get involved. Backstage,
There are.
set design, on stage. What do they need to know? Who do they need to contact?
Well, first of all, they contact the office and just let them know that they are interested in backstage work or whatever the aspect is. And then the office passes that along to me.
Okay. And then just try it. Yeah, that's what I did. That's what I did. But I had texted you and I told you that we were going to do an extra thing on this show. I asked you to prepare a question for me. Any question.
Uh-huh.
and I'm ready for it. If you have one.
Why do you do this?
Next question.
Nope.
No. Because I authentically, genuinely do love to talk to certain people. If I'm just being totally honest, there are people in my life that I have met that I have an uninhibited interest in who they are, how they got there. It's generally people I admire or look up to, or I appreciate their ability, and I want to glean some facts, and some knowledge from them. Someone like you, to have been in feature films, is very exciting to me. I enjoy watching film. I don't know that I would want to be in one, but to be able to talk to someone that has been in one is just exciting to me. And like I said in my text message, I'm kind of an amateur narcissist. I like to do things that people hopefully will think we're cool. So if I can scratch something inside myself that's been itching to talk to you, to talk to someone else, and to ask these questions, and you can't run away, and to hopefully gather something personal from you. And if a viewer says, hey, I really like this, and if I can get both of those things, that would be perfect.
Perfect. Why?
Because I need validation in my creative endeavors. I need someone to say, I really like what you did, or if I edit it a certain way, like, hey, I really like that. Or that was I love to be funny. I love to be clever. I'd say that my humor was more dry than not. But if I can make someone laugh, then that's a drug for me. I always reaching for that.
Does anything about stage acting cause you fear?
Yeah, I definitely have fear, but I feel so much better if I just do it. When I was in the Dracula production, I was nervous every single, what's the word I'm looking for? What's a night where the audience is actually here?
Performance.
A performance. Every performance I was nervous. I would stand over there on stage left, preparing myself to come on, when the lights come up. Or I would come on when the lights were down and stand there, and I can see the audience and I can see their silhouettes. And then my skin's getting hot, and I just know that the light's going to come on at any moment. And I have to perform. And I want to put perform in air quotes because I don't feel like my performance was good, but I did try. But there is a lot of fear there, but I feel the best when I can do something even though I am afraid. And I think it's worth it.
I think that's true for everybody. That they'll do something that they're terrified of, and then they can congratulate themselves for actually accepting the challenge and getting through it. But every time you talk about it from Jesse's point of view. Never from your character. Your character had no reason to be afraid.
No, he didn't.
And when you acknowledge that you saw the audience, that tells me you're not in the character. You're still Jesse.
This is true.
And so once you give up Jesse and just be the character, that's the glory. That's why you do it.
That's really good. I wish you would have told me that when I was on stage. No, I'm sure that you did. But do you feel like did I accurately convey why I do this?
I think so.
Do you think so?
I think so.
Does that scare you?
No.
Huh?
No. I just think you have to get out of
Sometimes it feels
yourself.
selfish.
Selfish?
It does.
Why?
Because sometimes it feels like, I guess sometimes, like I was saying earlier, do you have to be a narcissist to be an actor? Do you have to be a narcissist to assume that people care enough to watch what I am curious enough to ask you? But I do, even if no one watches, it's enough for me to sit down and talk to you.